Welcome to the Tuesdays edition of the John McEntyre Show live. I'm John McEntyre. Today is November the 19th, 2024. We are on a week or so, a little bit over a week from the big day, Thanksgiving. Yeah. But building up to that time, we have financial stuff to talk about. And with today being, not today, actually, November is long-term care insurance month. I mentioned it earlier in the month, and then I said I was going to do an actual show about it. And finally, I got around to it. I had so many other topics to cover that were like right there up front that needed to be taken care of. And so I want to make sure and talk about long-term care insurance today. Um, but before I get into that, I want to thank everyone for the wallet wins, sharing your wallet wins. Been receiving some good ones. I'm going to share those. I'm letting them build up, especially with being the end of the year. A lot of people are beginning to share wallet wins, or their favorite wallet win of the year, or the one that made the most difference. A financial decision that made the most difference, or a career decision, something like that, that really propelled them forward financially and made them, really believe that that they can make it happen. And so I'm going to let those build up. So, but in the meantime, you can, while I'm live, you can share your wallet wins. If you are live watching us through Facebook or YouTube or whatever, you can give us. You can either call us, or you can just put it in the comment there about the wallet wins, or if you have questions, uppercase Q or capital Q, whichever one you use the most, and we will definitely share it and cover and everything like that. So, but let's get into this today. Today's actually, like I said, it's about long-term care insurance, and long-term care is is probably one of the most needed insurance. All insurances are important. Like I say, all insurances, they form the foundation of everything that you're doing. Uh, they're the things that's in the background working. They're there just in case. It's the insurance is the fire extinguisher on the wall. It's the plan, the escape plan in case the building is on fire. Those types of things. Um, they're for the what ifs of life. That's why a lot of people don't see them as being important until they need it. Until they need it. For instance, we, here in North Carolina, western part of the state, are still recovering, and they're still involved in this long recovery of from Hurricane Helene. And some areas are doing very well. For instance, in Asheville, downtown Asheville is functioning very well. And I want to make sure and give a shout out. Asheville is actually has always been a favorite spot of mine. I used to go there a lot, hang out, things like that. It's just a nice place. It's a fun place to hang out. It's so eclectic and diverse. It's a lot of different things to do up there, and the weather is very mild, especially this time of the year. Well, a lot of people are staying away from Asheville because they think that the entire area was damaged. Downtown is fine; it's functioning very well. Uh, some of the best food you could ever eat. The coffee shops. I mean, if you like tea, there's shops down here with they have coffees and teas that you just can't get anywhere else. And there are dessert bars, things like that. The art, just the overall, the air is clean up there, things like that. So I triggered myself, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned that is going on up there. Now, there's other parts of Asheville that was hit very hard, but the people that had insurances in place, they are recovering. They're making their recovery. The people that don't have the insurance, skimped on that, went around it, things like that, ignored it. They're the ones that's really, really suffering right now. And I mean, that's, home, life, health, whole nine yards. They're suffering big time. And they're depending a lot on the generosity of the people. And that's also a good thing. Some people, people out there, they are, financially secure and wealthy and everything. They have enough money to where they can be generous and help. And because of them, because of the generosity of those people, some of these people, if it wasn't for that, they would not know how they would make it. And so that's where insurance come in, foundation. And so long-term care insurance is one of those insurances you won't know you need it until later in life, because that's what it's for. It's long-term care insurance. um, it's just one of those where you have to ask yourself, how am I going to take care of myself later in life? Now, I will say this: everyone needs a long-term care plan, but maybe not everyone needs long-term care insurance. And I'll cover that as we move forward. I just want to set it up that way. Um, it's hard to imagine now, but chances are you'll need some help taking care of yourself later in life. Uh, in long-term care, it is, like I say, it's a particularly important type of insurance. Um, it's meant to provide for your personal care and wellness when you reach an age or health condition when you need assistance with the basic functions of living. And the basic functions of living are those functions that most of us just take for granted. When you're younger, you take it for granted. I know when I was 20 years old, uh, I was totally invincible. Nothing bothered me or whatever. Now that I'm older, I look back to when I'm catching myself saying, "Man, back when I was 20, this was just so easy. This was so easy to do," and things like that. And so we all are going to do it. And so that keeps me mindful of, okay, I'm at this age and stage, this season of life, and I have other seasons that I'm going to go through, and we have to be prepared for them. And this basic functions, for instance, just basic functions: bathing yourself, dressing yourself, going to the restroom. There's a lot of people today, they need assistance with those things. Taking medications in the proper amounts at the proper time. That's a big one. That is a big one. I know with my mom in her latter years, latter months, we were we were there for every minute that she took medication. She was not allowed to take medication by herself. Someone was always, it was six of us, and we all pitched in to help take care of her. That was her, a part of her long-term care insurance was her kids, which that's what a lot of the older generation had, a lot of kids. That's what you would hear them say. Um, what are you going to do later on in life? That's for my kids to decide. And my kids, I have my kids, they would take care of me and things like that. So that was a big one. Day-to-day things: eating, cooking, doing laundry, doing housework, you know, uh, just moving from a bed to a chair, or moving from a chair to a bed, going to bed at night, getting to the chair, walking, going for a shopping. Who's going to take care of your pet care? You get into a time or a particular health situation where you can't even take care of your pet. So you would need someone to help you with those types of situations. Using communication devices. A lot, talking to some of the older generation. Quite a few of them, they're just not into computers and smartphones and things like that. um, Quite a few of them have called social media the devil. And so, the communication devices, they're very important. They can still use a phone or whatever, and that's just as far as it go. Maybe a radio, and that's it with them. They don't want to go. Responding to emergencies, such as, the fire alarms go off, smoke alarm go off, something happens, will they be able to respond? Or if you're older, would you be able to respond to that? Um, and just many of the other living needs that we just pretty much take it for granted on a day-to-day basis. That you It's just stuff that you do without thinking. There may come a time to where you will think about it but can't do it. And so that's why long-term care insurance is so important. Uh, And long-term care insurance, it varies from person to person. Um, and just this statistic will really put things into, you know, will really bring it home here. The average person that's turned 65 today has about a 70% chance of needing long-term care in some one form or another. And for women, um, women will need it more than men. The average length of stay in a long-term care, for long-term care need, whether it's in a facility or something like that, is 3.2 years. And 20% of those people will need more than 5 years of long-term care. And so that is definitely something to think about. Um, actually have someone here, Anthony Brooks, a friend of mine. He said he likes it and hates it at the same time. So I mean, and I understand you. You're exactly right. It's, you have to like it. It's a love hate thing. Getting older, um, getting wiser. You're getting to enjoy certain things, but there's certain things you just can't do anymore. And these statistics are talking about that. Just think, 20% of the people. And just say today, 10, just for instance, 10,000 people go into Medicare every day. They age into Medicare. Of the baby boomer generation, there's what, 78 million, um, and just say 65 older. Okay, so 20% of 78 million, or 14 million people are going to need long-term care 5 years or longer. And that's a lot. That is a lot. And facilities, every facility is just full to capacity. They can't build them fast enough, because of the need. And 5 years of long-term care that's a significant amount of protection. And this enables, this is the long-term care insurance not only enables you to just not afford the long-term care, in that period of time, but long-term care actually helps you afford, uh, better facilities, because we all know not all facilities are equal. We see on the news, constantly, um, neglect of our elderly in these facilities, abuse, things like that. It happens. It's a reality. And so having long-term care insurance can actually, ensure that you're going to be able to afford a better facility. And with these facilities comes the next thing. Long-term care is expensive. It is expensive. Long-term care is expensive, whether it's provided in a facility, a nursing home, or having a professional care worker come to your home. Caring for your health and wellness is expensive. Um, it's not unusual, for instance, to find the quality nursing home care. Well, not nursing home care, but actually a facility can cost, easily a few $100,000 a year. Um, and it can also be expensive to hire a registered nurse to provide those live-in services, to actually have someone to come into your home. So a few $100,000 a year, uh, 5 years, $500,000. Some people, for instance, they they say a lot. Well, I have $500,000 in this account and everything, so that should take care of me, you know, for this number of years and everything. uh, a stay at a home long-term care facility, uh, you can see what it could actually do to that account, what it can actually do to your, your nest egg, for lack of a better term. A few $100,000 a year. And if you even go to a lower facility, you're going to still, I have yet to see it less than 50 a year. And that's in the, the what they would call lower quality facilities. So even 50,000, 5 years, $250,000 has been gone through. And if you're, to stay in those, certain facilities, um, there's other things that comes into play that can really eat the money, up that's just staying there. So you have to also think about, the demands your healthcare needs may also place on family members. If you can't afford long-term care, family members may need to devote a significant amount of time, energy, and money to take care of you. You know, um, when you're able to do less and less functions in the home. And personally, that's where with my mom, it came in. At one point, it got to where she needed 24 hours, um, and so with the combination of, her family and a nurse, a nurse there was during the day, most of the day, um, like a job, and then and on the weekends, and then family members. We were filling in those gaps. Me, Andre, and Bella. Our shift was the weekend. We did the weekends. We would go up every weekend and stay with her, and entertain her, do things like that. Have be with her. Um, was it stressful? It was stressful, but it was worth it. Um, but my heart goes out to a lot of family members that just don't have. They didn't have five other partners, five, six, seven other people that were hands on involved there on a day to day basis. Some people, they only have one, and the caregiver. I know quite a few people that are providing uh, care for the family member, and it's just them, or maybe one other sibling or something like that. And like I say, my heart definitely goes out, because that is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. You have your life to take care of, and now you've taken on this other, your parent, grandparent, or whoever you're taking on their life. So you're having to do a lot of what they were already doing, a high percentage of it, and you have to step in and take care of that. And so that's where long-term care insurance, things like that, can really be invaluable. Um, so then the question becomes, okay, John, so we know the value of having long-term care insurance. How will we pay for it? Well, the misconception is most people think that Medicare, as a matter of fact, half of Medicare beneficiaries, they actually believe that Medicare is going to pay for their long-term care, and that's just not the case. Um, Medicare, which we all know, what I've done a lot of shows on that. That's the public health insurance program provided by the federal government for 65 and older, or disabled individuals who are maybe under 65. It doesn't cover long-term care beyond just some skilled care right after hospitalization. If someone has been in the hospital, they come out of the hospital and they may need, rehab or something like that, or they just may need a little bit more care before they're actually able to go home. Um, it only covers so many days, and then after that, you have to start footing the bill. And like I say, nearly half the people think that Medicare is just going to take care of them. If they're in a facility for 5 years, for instance, Medicare is going to pay for it. They're not going to do it. That's not what they're set up for. You do have some Medicare plans that that the private insurance plans with Medicare, uh, they chip in some, but mostly things like meal delivery, and transports to medical appointments, things like that, which is helpful, but that's usually what it's limited to, depending on the plan. So if you do have a Medicare plan, make sure and check what it does provide for long-term care. The other ones, now you have our veterans, our U.S. veterans. They may access long-term care through the Department of Veterans Affairs, through VA, but to talk to the after having conversation with so many veterans, um, they'd rather not go there. They won't talk about it much. I'm not a veteran. I haven't had to do a lot with the VA, but from what I hear, that's not the most reliable in the world. Other people, they may qualify through Medicaid, and I talked about Medicaid this past Friday, which is joint federal and state. Well, state and federal kicks in secondary to cover low income Americans, and that's where the low quality facilities come into play, because they're only going to pay so much, and they're not going to pay for luxury facilities. And so you have to take that into an account, that if you're going to depend on Medicaid, um, you're going to um, have to stay in the lower quality facilities where the probability of neglect and abuse, things like that, goes up. Not saying that all, not, and by no means am I'm saying that all low quality facilities do that type of stuff. It just happens there more. What it is, it happens in other facilities. Higher quality facilities are not, they've been, you know, um, whistleblowers have told on them about things that they're doing, but it becomes even more rampant in the lower quality facilities. And it's even the stigma, they call them, those are the Medicaid facilities, things like that, because that's what they depend on, Medicare, Medicaid, because these people, they don't have the financial wherewithal to pay, and so they're having to use the little bit of money that comes with each person, each beneficiary has to go a long way. And so that's where, people think that is. That's why long-term care insurance can kick in. And that's why I always stress, you can talk to us, you can talk to your insurance agent, someone out there about long-term care, to actually have it taken care of. Um, and Anthony Brooks, which Anthony, long friend of mine, um, he's a veteran. He is a veteran. So let me thank him for his service. I can remember when Anthony went into the Navy. He went into the Navy. We were high schoolers. He was a couple of years older than me, and he went into the Navy after high school. But he says here, VA care is like some facilities where the care doesn't feel like care. It's the I'm just doing my job type of feeling. So that's from a veteran. That's not for me. I don't know those types of things, but that's from an actual veteran that's saying that. And I want to thank you, Anthony, for that comment, for that input there. So that's just not me. That's coming from the veterans that are talking about that type of stuff. Um, so here's the thing: the 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 pros of long term care insurance is, you're more likely to be able to afford to stay in that higher quality, reputable care facility. Long-term care insurance, it would pay for a certain amount of the cost per month or annually. Uh, there is less pressure on your assets during your stay, because that's when, if you once your cash is gone, once the money is gone, if you're going to stay in the facility, can't stay free. Like they say, you have to pay to stay. And so that's where people get into selling their assets, their home, their cars, all of this, the things that they worked hard for. They thought that they were going to be able to enjoy in retirement. Now they have to sell it, or mortgage it, or load it up with a lot of debt, and then they still end up losing it in the long run, unless someone comes to their rescue. So this puts long-term care, takes the burden off of your other assets, keep you from liquidating those investment accounts and things like that. Um, with long-term care, you gain the peace of mind in the present, knowing that you are well protected should you need the long-term care in the future. That does reduce anxiety. It reduces the anxiety. The people that I talk to that have long-term care insurance versus the ones that don't, as they get closer and closer to retirement, that question becomes, it used to be in the back of the mind, now it comes to the forefront. Man, if I get sick, what am I going to do? Who's going to take care of me? And so that day-to-day thought, that's and that anxiety actually contributes to you ending up in a long-term care facility, because you just stress yourself out worrying about these things. It's one more thing. I can't perform the day-to-day functions, and now I may have to go into a facility, or maybe have to pay someone to come and take care of me and things like that. How am I going to pay for it? And now we're spiraling, and then you go into the mental health. Your mental health starts to suffer, things like that. So that's what long-term care, it is an insurance, and like all other insurance, it is to provide that peace of mind, knowing Me knowing that my cars are covered, my home is covered, my life is covered, I have health insurance, all of those gives me peace of mind. If something happens, I have insurance to take care of those things. And so that's the pros. The cons, long-term care insurance, it can be expensive, and the premiums usually goes up. Um, it's not one of those things. The older policies, old school policies, what we call them, they they were, you pay this premium. This is basically what you paid. Now that there's a chance, usually a 10-year period where the premiums increase, and that's where when you're looking into long-term care, it's very important that you look and make sure you understand how the premium is going to work. Um, other cons of long-term care is it's expensive, and you don't know how long you're going to live. So if you live a long time, you're going to be paying for the insurance. Um, and as we get older, the average person in America, their income is going to go down. So if their premium is going up and income is going down, there you go. We have a dilemma here. Um, and that's another fear: people outliving their money, and that means it can be eaten up as they're living. It's not just the day-to-day things, it's also those things like these insurance premiums. um, and you may have a plan that you just can't afford. You could afford it when you're younger, but now as you've gotten older, you can't, you can't afford to pay it. You don't pay your premiums, the policy cancels, and that was just wasted money. It was wasted money. There are policies out there that they're hybrids. They're a combination of life and long-term care. It could be a rider or things like that. It may be something to look into to see how those work for you. The other question that comes that we get a lot is, when is the best time to buy long-term care insurance? And I say typically in your 50s, usually in your 50s. And the reason why is that you're usually healthy, because, your health, it is considered when buying long-term care insurance. And you're usually healthier. The younger you are, the healthier you are. Um, so you can get a better rate. The costs are lower, and your financial priorities are usually taken care of. By the time you're in your 50s and everything, you've pretty much handled, college costs, things like that. So now you can actually focus on your long-term care. How are you going to take care of yourself in that winter season of life? And so that's why I say it. The health thing is huge. The costs are lower, and your financial priorities. Now, as far as mentioning the cost, sometimes it's actually able to meet with someone and let them do a few scenarios, because sometimes buying it later may actually cost you less in the long run. So that's why you may want to meet someone, meet an expert in this area in finances that could help you really look at the entire picture. But what you don't want to do, you don't want to wait too long, because of you don't want the medical conditions to kick in and you know become too much of a risk for a long-term care policy for an insurer, and they may turn you down, or it may just be out of your budget. You just can't afford it. So you want to take those types of things in consideration. I could talk, long-term care insurance, we could talk all day about it. I just wanted to touch on those particular areas, why you would need it, the pros and cons of it, and when is the best time to actually get it. So I just wanted to just touch on it, just enough to get you to think about it. This is long-term care insurance month. If you may need to talk to someone like us, or maybe time to call your advisor and really have a serious discussion about long-term care. Because like I say, everyone needs a long-term care plan, because there's a high chance that you will get older. So we all need a plan. It doesn't mean that everyone will need long-term care insurance. So if you're meeting with someone now and you have a plan in place, there may be other ways you're going to handle it, but you don't know that unless you sit down and talk to someone well versed in this area to help you with these decisions. Like I say, you can give us a call. You can visit the website, set up an appointment, call us. We can talk about it over the phone. Or if you want to talk to someone and you're not able to talk to us, you're not close to us or whatever, we know we have a network of agents that will be able to guide you in the right direction, help you make the best decision for your particular situation. So with that being said, I hope that you receive some good information, at least enough to get you thinking about it. And if you did, like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and share us. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow with some more financial information. And until then, have a good day. We'll talk.